Я думаю, що піарить це ну, как бы логистика, да, в котором часу что.
Да. Сколько часов до сколько?
Но у нас же там есть дорогой мальчик, с которым мы можем все менять.
Да, конечно, мальчик уже здесь тоже. Ну, только...
People actually flying in from Hyderabad and from other cities to meet with you. So, like I said, there was considerable interest once we mentioned that you want to manufacture here.
Постійно за щось має доплачувати. То податки, ну прикинь, ти заходиш в ресторан, мало того, що ці посвящені, ти додатково потім платиш, не включені якимось чином цінний податок 10%, а ще ти платиш за сервіс 10% обов'язково.
So how we have done it? Sorry. Sorry. So with your company, there is something my team will give you. Something that we try not to put you on screen, but update on your meeting confirmation. Thank you. Alexi, that's the whole program which you requested. I'll sit with you. Yeah.
Так, тримайте вперед. Тримайте в рушу. Більше не дам. Це інше індійським компаніям.
She's been managing all the meetings for you. Yes, have any questions? Because I'm there for you.
И два ожидающих лодки, так и продолжить.
А це TNA видає
Sorry, yeah.
This is Vitaly. Vitaly is from Western Alliance Enterprise.
Same here, same here. Thank you for all your support. See you, Tarun, as well.
Yes.
Good to see you. All the best. Thank you. Thank you.
Outstanding support. Outstanding support. You, and Maria, excellent support.
It's great to be working with such an outstanding team.
No, we try. We try with predictability.
Our friends told us that you work with Finpro. This is a great
Safety and consumer protection.
funded by the US government from my organization. Government of Ukraine, developing new organizations that we are proud to support.
Picture, why certain sectors from the export side. India is a no-brainer because the commodities which we are looking at and the challenges which we have, we are bound to import. In all our number of jobs, that's on the investment side.
Very nice.
Great. And they're like,
Oh no, they won't. Thank you. This is the place. It's a village also. Or with a mix of both.
You ready?
Yeah.
Cheers.
Для початку я хочу представити пана Таруна, який представить свою команду і також розкаже, чого нам очікувати від завтрашнього дня, як нам готуватись і чого не очікувати.
Good morning, and on behalf of my team, in fact my entire country, welcome to incredible India. And it's a pleasure to be here. Let me first begin by thanking the entire Export Promotion Office team, the team led by Vincent, for their outstanding support towards the trade mission. And I'm reasonably confident the trade mission will be a success. It will have a lot of surprises, a lot of challenges, a lot of time understanding how the traffic operates in India, or really does it operate. But I'm sure it will be an unforgettable experience. Before I begin, can I just have a quick show of hands? How many people are visiting India for the first time? Oh, wow. Excellent, excellent. I always like it when this percentage is higher, and this is exactly the case. Before I begin, I would like to introduce my team. Team here is led by Mr. Saurabh Khanna, who's partner and head of client engagement, and he'll be your key point of contact for the rest of the week. And in fact, in our company, we call him the de facto Ukraine expert. So he will be visiting your country next month to participate in the investment forum. Saurabh is joined on the client engagement side by Mr. Jasraj Singh, and also by Uday, if I can see Uday. Probably he's gone out. And we also have representation from our research team led by Anuradha, Shweta, and Deepak. And that's where Uday just walks in. He's part of the client engagement team. So once we're done with the introductions, I start with a couple of health warnings. We in India love to talk, believe you me, right? You look at any survey, we talk the longest on the mobile phone. Mobile phones are the cheapest in India, okay, in terms of the usage rates. But I promise to Era that I will keep my presentation to 45 minutes. And I'm also conscious of the phrase called death by PowerPoint. So believe me, I have less of data, more of storytelling, more of images. And I have structured the presentation in 4 formats, really. First, I will give you a macro view on Indian political and economic landscape. And I would desist from giving the Bollywood version. Everybody familiar with Bollywood now? Hollywood, Bollywood? Yeah. We produce more movies than Bollywood.
Hollywood.
Yes, although 80% of the movies don't make money, okay? So, but 20% we are good. So I will try and give you a balanced picture of India. Not that everything is fine, you land in India, you'll start making $1 million, far from it. Right? But it would be to give you a balanced picture. And then on the second part of my presentation, we will talk about some of the sectors which are represented by the companies here. And third part on the cultural aspects of doing business, the food, how the food varies across India. And lastly, followed by Q&A. And we'll be happy to take any questions. We'll try our best to answer, and if we can't, we will make sure we come back to you. On that note, I'll begin with my favorite slide. The best way to predict the future is to create it. And I promised Era that this first slide would be very relevant to her. If there is one thing which is lacking in India, which our clients tell us, I wish I can have it in India, is lack of predictability. Right? Be prepared for surprises. No matter how much planning we do, no matter how much follow-up we do, unfortunately the environment is lack of predictability, both at the government end, the way our policies continue to change, the way our traffic is, where you cannot predict you will arrive 20 minutes early or 20 minutes late. And in fact, it's a reflection of that predictability that you see far more number of meetings in your respective itineraries than the time slot. You have more companies with you, with the fact that even if you have dropouts, be prepared for that predictability. And that would be the message. How can you prepare for this unpredictable environment in India and still make money? So in every slide I will try and give a key message. So first key message from my end, population. 1.2, 1.3 billion, 100 million is a rounding off error in India. So if you look at it, our population size is about 1.2 billion, and we are currently here in New Delhi, which is the capital, and you will be traveling to Mumbai. That's a distance of about 1,300 kilometers. Technically the right name. So between Delhi and Mumbai, the population is the same as that of Ukraine. So the two cities, Delhi and Mumbai, the population is virtually the same as whole of Ukraine. And just to still emphasize on the population, look at this interesting. What this indicates is the size of the population in each state is equivalent to which country. Just spend a few seconds to look at 18% of the world's population, 2.4% of the land mass, and 4% of the freshwater resources. Guess what? Land is a priced commodity. Very, very priced commodity. In fact, in terms of industrial land, in terms of commercial space, in terms of residential. So the most expensive commodity in India is land, and unfortunately we still haven't figured a way out to make new land. So as long as laws of geography dictate that we cannot create land, this would always be at a premium, and later on I will talk about it, how it impacts our agriculture sector. Just to give you an idea of the size, you see the state, this is the largest, most populous state in India, called Uttar Pradesh, the size of the population of Brazil, and unfortunately the per capita income in this state is 1/10 of Brazil. Moving on, the second message. So we've talked about population, we've talked about land. Third, and which I'm very proud as a citizen, is our diversity. Right? Can I ask how many languages would be there in Ukraine? Typically, how many languages? Not the dialects, the languages. Two, maybe two, yeah. Interestingly, our constitution recognizes 22 languages, national languages. And it's a problem on a personal level when your wife and your mother-in-law can talk in a language which you can't understand, if your wife is from a different region. So we have, but the de facto business language is English, but there also we have a challenge. The accent varies considerably as you move across the country. So what I have here is some of the regional languages. Typically, except laggards like me who know only 2 languages, most of the people in India would know 3 languages. People who are born and brought up in New Delhi would only know 2. Rest of the people would know, and most of the team in my office would know at least 3 languages. From a business perspective, English, all the contracts, discussions are in English. The accent may be a challenge. We tend to speak fast. And as you move south, it's a more thicker accent. So in a meeting, it's quite all right to do mention if you are unable to grasp or request a person to slow down. So the second aspect, diversity on languages. Third is of course the food, the diversity of food. As we go, the cuisine is very different. Typically, outside of India, what is known only is the Northern India cuisine, but we do have cuisines which vary considerably, and accordingly the consumption pattern varies considerably, and it's a myth that India is a vegetarian country. 2/3 of our population is non-vegetarian. So just to clarify right at the outset, yes, we have a large percentage of vegetarian, but 2/3 of our population is non-vegetarian. Okay. With regards to the regional part, one of the things, so we spoke about diversity in languages, diversity in food. Third diversity is in level of economic development. Unfortunately, all our states are not progressing at the same level of economic development, and the quality of governance, quality of infrastructure, quality of manpower varies considerably. I'll give you an idea. If you look at the state of Kerala, it has 100% literacy. The per capita income is like a middle income country, whereas if you look at some of the larger states, the per capita income is as low as sub-Saharan Africa. What I have highlighted here are the states which account for maximum industrial production. Typically, Indian development is focused around this arc. This is where the development and the consumption is. Unfortunately, this entire part is significantly behind the rest of the country in terms of industrial development, in terms of consumption. We love our politics, and we have reasonable number of national parties, but I'll tell you an interesting statistics. In our last election, any idea how many people actually voted? Any idea? Pick a number. How many people actually voted? Last national elections.
20%? 50 crore.
Oh, you're spot on. You're spot on. So it was about 520 million people. 520 million people cast their vote. Across a few weeks, it was staggered. Counting started simultaneously at 7 o'clock in the morning. Okay, and Saurabh, correct me, I think the date was 14th May? 14th May, 2014. Any idea by when the results were out? 520 million votes. Counting started at 7 o'clock in the morning on 14th of May. Any guesses by when we knew who had won the national elections?
The same day.
By 10 o'clock in the morning. 3 hours. And the final results were declared at 11:30. All electronic voting. So what we have is a federal structure. We have 29 states, and we have a federal government here in New Delhi. In fact, literally a mile away from your hotel. And it's led by the Prime Minister. President is more the figurehead and the Vice President, but the Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers really call the shots. And we have I would use the word jumbo cabinet. We have about just over 70 ministers in our Council of Ministers. And the federal continues to drive policies related to external trade, but the implementation of a lot of these policies, especially industrial development, goes down to the state level. And this is where the difference comes in terms of the whole ecosystem of governance, consumption, industrial output. So, I do not know how many of you are traveling outside of Delhi and Mumbai, but Delhi and Mumbai are not actually a true reflection of India. Right? Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, they have a disproportionate share in India's discretionary consumption. Disproportionate share. For example, 2/3 of all flights in India, 2/3 of all flights start or end in New Delhi and Mumbai. Right? You look at any consumption statistic on whether it's mobile phones, Mumbai alone contributes 40% of India's income tax collection. One city. 40% of India's income tax collection. So I would encourage you, especially on the agrarian side, Delhi and Mumbai may have all the traders, may have the importers, but really the business, especially on the agrarian side, is of course happens out in the hinterland. Okay. Now, the second part is what's the recent India story? And in this case, what I did was, this was, early 2000s, okay, when we had a policy paralysis in our country, okay. So, and that's the time our economy was really in doldrums, and that was the message from the economists. And that, I think, is changing, but we could do better. And this is